What is up, guys? James here from the Light of Riga YouTube channel. And recently I made a video where I did a reading for Donald Trump. I wanted to look into his energies and gain more clarity on where he was coming from. And I felt like the reading was very valuable, both for me and for the viewers. And it really told us where Donald Trump was coming from. And so I wanted to do a different reading. And this one is for Vladimir Putin. One of my viewers suggested that I tap into his energies and see what he's up to. So that's what we're going to do today. I live in the United States, and the media has definitely shown their agenda. I think there's a demonizing of Russia going on in the United States, a demonization of Vladimir Putin, if you will. And I know my intuition is telling me that, that is just not true. I think that a lot of that is propaganda, but I'm not really sure what is true. Yeah, I know he's no saint, okay, I know that, but I don't think that what the media is portraying him out to be in the United States is the truth. So I wanted to tap into his energies and see the real truth of where he's coming from and what his motivations are as far as it relates to the United States. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I have some crystal allies. I've got my sodalite sphere here, which I keep with me for every reading on this tarot table. And I also brought a labradorite sphere. This is a nice, beautiful, flashy piece. I don't know if the camera's going to pick up the flashes, but their flashes are in there. It's very beautiful. So that's what we're going to be using today. I'm also going to be using the Llewellyn Tarot. This is a beautiful druid-based deck. It's very small. It's been trimmed, and it's good because we're going to use a lot of cards. We're going to do a Celtic Cross for Vladimir Putin. So if you would just give me a moment to center myself and ask the tarot cards a question. What are the energies of Vladimir Putin in regards to the United States? That's going to be our question for today. So give me a moment to ask myself that question and deal the cards out. Alright, that should do it. Let's cut the deck, and we'll see what these cards have to say. Alright, very interesting. Right off the bat, I'm seeing some major arcana here. I'm seeing some court cards. I'm seeing a lot of different kinds of energy. So I'm very interested to see what this reading has in store for us today. Okay, let's jump right on into it. This card here represents him, his signifier right now in this present moment. We've got the Seven of Wands, and the vibe I get from this card is of being defensive. This card traditionally is about knowing that you have the upper hand and knowing that you have to defend it from other people. And I think that's perfectly describes probably how he's feeling right now. He's on the defensive. There's been a lot of attack, not just in the media, but through politicians, through politics. I feel like there's been a lot of attack on Russia recently. It's almost like a resurgence of the Cold War. And I feel as though Putin right now is feeling kind of defensive and having to, beat back the aggressors a little bit. Not that he's a victim, but that he's feeling kind of... I'm getting the sense of not just, playing defense, but really trying to fortify his position, maybe a little bit offensively as well. So I'm getting the feeling of combativeness, definitely, but more slanted towards defensiveness as a result of the energies that are being directed towards him from the United States. Remember, this reading is about how he views the U.S. So yeah, this is in relation to the U.S. What's crossing him, his crossing card, is the Knight of Cups. And yes, okay, so this is telling me that he is feeling defensive, and he is kind of fighting for what he believes in, but he's doing it from a very emotional position. He's kind of, when you think of the Knight of Cups, you think of someone who kind of acts out on their emotions, doesn't really analyze the whole situation, doesn't look at things 100% logically, doesn't really follow their intuition. They're really following their emotions. So I get the feeling that this is an emotional response from him. He's having an emotional response to the I would call it negative energies that he's receiving coming from this side of the world. So I definitely, just based on these two cards, I feel where he's coming from a little bit, how he's just trying to do what he does, without interference, and he's having to defend himself, and he emotionally, this is not something he wants to be doing, and he's having an emotional response to it. So that is interesting. Okay, let's look at the recent past. This card here represents the recent past. We've got the Queen of Wands. Sometimes these court cards represent a person. Let me go into this card and see what this card is talking about. Okay. Wow. Yes, this is not the same picture that I get painted in the media. I get the feeling that the actions that he's taken towards the U.S. in the recent past, let's say the last 3 months, he's having to have, the wands are about energy. He's having to have put in energy towards this, I guess you would call it a problem that he sees, and he's acting out on it, but he's trying to do it, he's doing it very carefully, right? He's not making any overt actions. He's not trying to stir the bee's nest, but he is trying to solve this problem, the problem he perceives of the U.S. In a way that is action-oriented, but is not going to get him into a lot of trouble. When you think of the Queen of Wands, I think of just being someone who is concerned for others, yet still focused on getting what they want, but is going to do it in a way that's not going to step on his too many toes. So I do get the feeling that in the recent past, he's kind of almost tiptoed around this situation while still being assertive. And that kind of fits in with what I know of him based on the media. He's not made any overt actions toward the U.S., but he has solidified his position, and he's fought for what he believes in. I guess you would call it. So that's the recent past. Let's move into the recent or the near future, and we've got the Sun, and I feel the energy of victory, the energy of triumph. I think that whatever, negative, or I hate to call it negative since I'm not in his shoes, but whatever he's facing right now in regards to the U.S., I see that in the future there's going to be a victory. This could be a small victory, it could be a large victory, but I think he's going to successfully defend himself, and maybe people in the near future will see him in a new light, this being the next 3 months or so. I think that at least if other people don't see him in a new light, I think that he's going to gain a lot of confidence in the next few months, and confidence that he is in the right, and that he's doing air quotes God's work. You know what I mean? That he's got assertiveness, he's got confidence, he's got optimism. So I see things getting much better for him in the near future in regards to the U.S. Does this mean that the U.S. is going to suffer some defeat? I don't necessarily think that's true. It's possible. And I would have to do more readings in order to ascertain that. But as far as Putin goes, I do see a growing self-confidence coming in the next few months for him. So, which would possibly signal that there's going to be some change, some breakthrough that's going to occur where maybe the media backlash against him dies down a little bit, or if the politicians give him some leeway, give him a break, and he'll take it as a victory is what the feeling I'm getting. All right, now we're going to delve into what he's thinking. And this card here represents his subconscious thinking at this moment right now. We've got the Five of Pentacles. Give me a moment to go into this card. I think he's feeling a little hurt by what's happening. Tensions with Russia have, calmed down in the last, since the Cold War. But now they're ramping up again. And I feel like he's feeling a little bit hurt. He's feeling like he's left out in the cold, and he's feeling sort of Like, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? This is subconsciously, he might not even be aware of this himself, but I think there's an aspect deep within him where it's like, what did I do to deserve all this? You know, things were great with the U.S. Not great, but they weren't at this level, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, Trump gets into office. Now there's a lot of, you know, it's a ramping up of this demonization of Russia, which has been happening recently, if you've been following the news. So I think that subconsciously he's not really sure why this is happening. He is feeling a little bit perplexed. Not perplexed. I mean, I'm sure he understands why it's happening, but he's feeling like a little bit left out in the cold, kind of hurt that this is happening to him. This card here represents his conscious thinking, his conscious mind. This is the World card. And I think his focus is on worldly affairs. I think his focus is on the bigger picture. I think, you know, when you're being attacked by someone, a lot of the time we'll go into the ego and we'll say, oh, how can I destroy this person? Or what is this person trying to get, right? But I think Putin is looking at the bigger picture, how this pertains to his country. He is a leader and he's, you know, forced to think in this way. And I think he's looking at the bigger picture, the overall context of how the U.S. plays into his game plan. I don't see him taking it that personally, consciously. Remember, subconsciously, I do think he feels a little bit hurt by it. But consciously, he's looking at the global scale, the global picture, the global image of where the U.S. fits into his game plan. And he's thinking about his own country. And I don't think, I get the feeling that he's not that put out by it. This is global politics. I think these things are bound to happen, right? So I think he understands it's, you know, a geopolitical chess match. And consciously, I think maybe he's deluding himself. Maybe he's, because these are two contrasting energies. So I think that there's an element here of not being true to the self and kind of hiding, not hiding, but kind of running away from the subconscious mind. The feeling I'm getting from this. So I think there's mixed emotions or mixed thoughts and mixed feelings here with him. But you know, he's got that internal thing that he, you know, shares with only himself, maybe his close, you know, people, but then there's the face that he has to put on for the world and for his country, and so he can't really let those two things collide, is the feeling I'm getting here. He's putting on two different faces for this. Okay, this is the personal power card, what I like to call the personal power card, and this card represents, you know, what Putin can do to improve the situation. And we've got the Page of Pentacles. Give me a moment with this card, please. Okay, I think what he can do to improve this situation is look at things from a more like business-oriented perspective. Remember we said that he's kind of treating this in an emotional way. And I think this card is suggesting that he needs to be a little bit more conscious that this is just, you know, it's business. It's business between two countries. It serves the American interest to demonize Putin. And rather than react emotionally for that, maybe figuring out why and then figuring out how to play that game to his best advantage is the thing that he should really focus on to help him improve the situation. So that he can clear his name, he can save face with his own country, and maybe he can even improve relations with the U.S. if he kind of plays the chess game that we talked about in a more pragmatic, more grounded way, rather than allowing emotion to get into it. And, you know, feeling defensive and combative, maybe getting more analytical and just looking at the things around him and playing the game a little bit better is the feeling I'm getting. This card here represents the energy of the people around him, just what the people around him have got going on. We've got the Knight of Wands. And the feeling I'm getting from this is that his advisors, his family, his friends, his, you know, the people who, his subordinates, I think they're all kind of calling for action. They want something to be done. You know, when one person acts aggressively, the response generally is to respond with aggression. And I think people want action. They don't want to just allow Putin to just take this aggression. Not that it's, you know, we're not like pointing, I don't know, maybe we are pointing missiles, I don't know, but you know what I mean? There's, at least in the media, which is all I really know about, to be honest, because that's, well, I know about tarot, you know what I mean? But all we really know about Putin in the U.S. is what the media tells us. So, and I feel that they're feeling that too. They get the United States media in Russia, and they know what's happening here, and I think that the people around Putin want him to respond. They want him to put in action, and he is kind of putting in action, as we saw with the Seven of Wands. But he's doing like a defensive maneuver. This is saying more. I'm getting the feeling of more offensive maneuvers from this card. The people around Putin want him to do something about it, and I feel that there's a lot of pressure coming from these people, and so he may be a little bit torn between how he wants to play this. I get the feeling that he wants to play it a little more cagey, and rather than start an international incident of some kind. But the people around him are feeling like he needs to do something, so that he just doesn't sit back and take this disgrace. I guess you could call it a disgrace. I mean, some of the things that the media is saying about Putin make him out to be some sort of warlord, some sort of demon. It's crazy. Okay, this card here represents his hopes and or his fears, and we've got the Moon card. I'm reading this as a fear, and I think his fear with the United States is that he's going to be misunderstood and the truth is not going to come out. I think he knows that the United States media is suppressing some information that it would paint him in a more positive light to the American people, and he knows that the United States politicians are obfuscating, they're hiding things from the American people about Putin that will show the truth about where he's coming from. And I think his fear is that these things will never come to light, and the 300 million people, all of whom will get behind military action, that's the dangerous thing, and he doesn't want that to happen. I'm getting the feeling, and he wants the truth to be told. Is the feeling I'm getting from this card, and I can't say what the nature of that truth is. That's a task for a better reader than me. Okay, but there is something that is being hidden, and maybe he doesn't necessarily want it to come to light. Maybe this is a fear also, that maybe if it does come to light, things will change drastically. And part of him wants to bring this truth out, but another part knows that it can't come out. So I think, yes, I'm getting very conflicting emotions and energies coming from this card here. So that's very interesting. This card here represents the outcome. Let's talk like 3 months past, 3 months and beyond. What will happen between Putin and the United States? And we've got the Seven of Pentacles. And I do see things mending a little bit. I don't see any, second Cold War. I don't see any hostility. I do see a mutually beneficial agreement coming out of this. I see both countries, getting what they want, or at least Putin getting what he wants and the U.S. getting what they want. So I don't see any, turbulence in the future. I don't see any, international incidents. I don't see war. But I do see, people getting what the fruits of their labors. Okay, if you think about the Seven of Pentacles, this is about, we put in all this work and we wait for the reward, and then the Seven of Pentacles is the moment that those rewards start coming. So yes, I do sense that Putin is going through some sort of struggles right now, but I think the rewards will come, and I think he's going to elevate in either status, or he might profit financially, him or his country, from the United States. So I do see a profit coming, and who knows, for all we know, this is just a thing in the media, and Putin and Trump are best friends. I don't know, there's been a lot said about that as well, but yes, I do see some benefit coming to Putin from the United States in the future, 4, 5, 6 months into the future. Okay, so just to recap, now that we've seen all the cards and see how they fit together, definitely at this present moment there's some conflict within Putin, and this is an emotional conflict, and he might be on the fence of how to respond. He wants to respond emotionally, and he's feeling a little bit defensive. Subconsciously he's hurt that this is happening, that's the West is demonizing him. But the real focus is on leading and the world stage, and I think he's got a great vision of the bigger picture, and this is something you can't really avoid. He's a leader of one of the largest nations in the world, so he kind of has no choice in this matter. He has to think of the world and his country first, and so that's what he is doing at this time. In the recent past, you know, he's kind of tiptoed around. He's done some things. He's put in some action in regards to the U.S., but he hasn't done anything major, and he's been very careful about you know, not starting anything and doing things kind of politically and what's the word I'm looking for? When you do things, what's the word I'm looking for? Diplomatically. Yes, thank you. Diplomatically. I got it. In the near future, I do see some optimism. I see a bright future for him. I see some self-confidence. I see a small victory maybe for him in some way. I do see some positivity coming in the near future. So if you're worried about tensions with Russia escalating, I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think I'll go on record now as saying that I think at least between Putin and the United States, I think things are going to be fine. I mean, I'm not sure when he... I don't know. Anyway, let's see here. What he can do to improve the situation is just to play the game and not be so defensive, not be so emotional about these things. It's a game. It's all it is. It's a game. It's chess. And you know, the Russians are good at chess, so I think what he can do is to improve the situation is to just maybe sit back and just view it as something that, you know, the U.S. is just playing games right now, and he can play if he wants. He doesn't have to, and the choice is his. The people around him do want him to play the game. They want him to make a move, okay? And I get the feeling that he's not exactly... He's sort of listening to these people, his advisors, and he's doing it, but in his own way, in his own diplomatic way. So, yes, I think he's taking advice and molding it to fit his vision, and I think that's a pretty good thing for him and his country. Fears are of something coming to light. He wants something to come to light, but at the same time, he doesn't want something to come to light. So I'm not sure what that is. I can only speculate, and even that probably wouldn't be anywhere close to accurate, so I won't speculate. But something is, you know, I think he's fearful that something might not come to light, but at the same time, he can't bring it to light. I'm sorry, that's pretty vague. I wish I knew. I'm very curious now. Maybe one of you can do a reading for that yourself. And outcome, I see positivity. I see fruits of his labors sprouting, and you know, him reaping the rewards of going through this kind of shaming in the media. And he'll get through it, and he'll profit in some way from it. I get the feeling. So positivity in the future. I think things between the two nations are kind of, you know, strained right now, but I do see the progression into the future being more positive and optimistic. Okay, so there it is, my reading for Vladimir Putin. Wasn't what I expected, but it sort of was. It sort of was. Yeah, you know, just my intuition is just screaming at me like the United States media is lying, you know. And being intuitive, I have to listen to that. So that's why I did this reading. I like to thank the person who suggested I do this reading. It was a great idea. I hope you guys got something out of it. I hope it illuminates the Russia situation a little bit further. And you guys got to realize, you know, if you're going to just listen to the media, you're getting 1% of the truth, and that 1% is probably, you know, not even close. So don't trust the media. Everything is the shades of gray. It's never black and white, and I think that's the message that this spread is bringing to us today. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed that, if you got something out of it. It really lets me know that I did something well. Be sure to leave a comment in the comment section if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this reading. I'd love to hear from you. And be sure to subscribe, because I'm going to be doing these readings pretty regularly, and we can learn about more world leaders or whatever, you know, is going on in the popular culture. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave a like if you did. Happy taroting. Peace.